To whom it may concern. The presence of a warden named Blackwall in your organization was recently brought to the attention of the first warden of Weishaupt as part of an ongoing internal investigation into Grey Warden corruption. We have reason to believe that this individual is not who he claims to be, and the Warden Constable Blackwall of Alcheven is dead. We request that Blackwall be released to the Grey Warden so that we may inquire further into this matter. Welcome, patrons! Who is the real man behind the lie of Warden Blackwall? What did he do, and what's going to happen to him? Well, let's take a moment and talk about that. Also, I want you to know that it has taken everything in me to make this video about the companion of Blackwall and not the actual Gordon Blackwall. Gordon or THOM? Something I want to touch on is how the Dragon Age wiki handles the character, and that information on both THOM and Gordon are on the same page, and that can kind of be confusing to new players. So to those of you who have read the wiki and are about to be confused that I left something out, it's likely that the thing you're thinking of relates to the actual Gordon Blackwall and not the man you recruit, THOM Rainier. Also, as he was pretending to be another man for the entire game, it is possible that what he tells you is not entirely truthful. But that being said, other than running from his past and pretending to be another man, he seems pretty earnest in his stories of the past, and on a second playthrough you can kind of see where his stories slip into lies. So I think for the most part this is the truth. Youth. Thomas Rainier grew up in Markham, a city-state in the Free Marches known for their agricultural research and university. He was named after his father, and he had a younger sister named Liddy, who got sick sometime in the summer and died. We find this out from banter with Cole, and from his comments, it sounds like after his sister died, he went to gather flowers for her body, but she was taken before he could lay them on her. He left them on her bed, and it seems that every year he leaves more. There was 8 on his sill, likely one in the house he grew up in. Then stands the grand tourney, in a garden, chantry alders, gave some to some children, the ocean, and finally off the battlements in Skyhold. It seems that he adds more flowers every year, either based on how old she would have been or how long it has been since she's died. As of the time of Inquisition, that number is 36. As a young man, presumably 18, THOM entered into the grand tourney, a famous Free Marches tradition. People would recall a young THOM wielding a two-handed sword and constantly bragging about his abilities. During the event, an Orlesian chevalier named Geoffrey de Bourdillon saw his potential and helped him win the event by fighting together. Sir Geoffrey had won the Grand Melee twice before, and after the win, he offered to mentor THOM, but THOM refused, something he would learn to regret later in life. The winnings and fame he gained from the tourney he soon spent, and would eventually sign on to do mercenary work for 2 years. During this time, he was tasked to find a man lost in the Silent Plains. During this quest, him and his group became lost and ran out of food due to a flood of unexpected rain. A member named Wilfred found small purple berries to eat, but unfortunately it caused hallucinations where THOM thought Nugs were singing sea shanties to him for almost 2 nights. When they finally woke up from the trip, THOM found gas stealing their weapons and armor and had to fight them off with rocks. Days out from finally leaving the desert, Wilfred, who had survived all of this and a wyvern stalking the group, tried to steal water from another member and was killed for it. From the story, we aren't sure if the man who killed Wilfred was THOM or another member of the group, but he mentions it took a week with the bounciest doxy in Hunterfell to put the desert from my mind. Military service. After his time as a mercenary, THOM enlisted in the Orlesian army, where he spent time in Perindale and the Dales. Here, he would hone his abilities, switching from a large sword to a smaller one and a shield. We know at one point he served under a Lord Rendalt de Lanche. Despite being born in the Free Marches, THOM's abilities brought him to become a well-respected captain. He was well loved by his men, mostly because he was able to see them as peers, with some saying that they were more loyal to THOM than their own mothers. Now, a quick lesson on Orlesian politics. While in Inquisition you see a civil war between ruling Empress Celine and her cousin Grand Duke Gaspard, the war didn't start until a year prior to the events of Inquisition. But before all of that, the two were still low-key rivals for the throne. An ally of Gaspard named Sir Robert Chapuis ordered an attack on an ally of Celine's, Lord Vincent Calliere. THOM took the order and led a group of fiercely loyal men on the job, not even telling them what they were about to do, just said it was for their country and an important mission. When the attack happened, his men attacked the Lord's carriage, and not even THOM knew the Lord's wife and 4 children were inside until he heard their singing. But it was too late. The men were ordered to kill everyone inside, and they did so. Word eventually spread of the murder, and knowing that this would not look good politically, Gaspard spoke out against the actions. Japy killed himself in shame, and taking the hint, THOM ran for his life, leaving his men behind to take the blame for his actions. Many were arrested and killed, but a few did survive, escape, and change their name, similar to THOM. Becoming Blackwall. On the run from his crime, THOM took up being a mercenary again. About a year later, in 936, he found himself in a tavern near Chernow. A barmaid found herself being harassed by a group of men from the local village militia, and THOM stepped in to save her. Unknown to him was that Warden Constable Gordon Blackwall saw the entire event. Gordon ended up recruiting THOM, and the two traveled together to the Warden stronghold in Valcheven. On the way, they stopped by the Storm Coast near a Deep Road's entrance. As per Grey Warden tradition, Gordon asked THOM to gather Darkspawn blood for his joining, but after he'd come back, the two men were ambushed by the Spawn, and Gordon sacrificed himself to save THOM. With the Darkspawn defeated and no witnesses as to what had happened, THOM feared that he would be blamed for Gordon's murder, as he had no proof that he was conscripted. And there, on the Storm Coast, Thom Rainier, a man ashamed of his past and inspired by a noble man whose cause was just, decided to trade his death. He would become Gordon Blackwall and try to keep the man's legacy alive, while the monster that was Thom Rainier would die. Oh, and he didn't actually have a beard before all of this, but Blackwall did, so he grew it out to look like him. The real Gordon Blackwall also walked with a limp, but Thom didn't seem to go so far as to copy that. Dragon Age Inquisition. The Blackwall that we know finds himself in the hinterlands of Ferelden. Seeing the locals being plagued by bandits, he temporarily recruits a few men from the village and trains them to fight the bandits on their own. If you choose to recruit Blackwall, you can catch the confrontation of the bandits and the villagers, and the Inquisitor can help defeat them. With the bandits dead, Blackwall orders the men to take their things and return home, hoping that now the men have some training in order to defend themselves in the future. During his time in the Inquisition, he gets along well with the others. Eventually, he befriends Cassandra, even going so far as to train with her, but after his true identity is revealed, she keeps her distance from him, although you can tell that she still gets along with him. Sarah becomes the closest to Blackwall during the time in the Inquisition, to the point where she is one of the few companions that actively has approval or disapproval when deciding what to do with him. The two crack jokes with each other and even seem to help each other pick up ladies. Varric and Blackwall have some trouble getting on initially, with Varric saying that he reminds him of Sebastian, as the two are too nice and boring. But after Blackwall's past is revealed, Varric amends his statements and actually gets along with Blackwall fairly well after that. Now, if both Blackwall and Josephine are not romance, Blackwall will begin to have feelings for her. Josephine will return his feelings, but the two never start a romantic relationship. Josephine will go on to say that both know the love affair would never work, but enjoy the longing that comes between them. Blackwall will begin to anonymously leave flowers for her, which is something you can actually see in-game, and Josephine will leave things in return. By the time Trespasser happens, their love affair has stopped, presumably after Tom's true identity was found out. Blackwall will comment that Josephine still teases him that she misses having flowers on her desk. We do learn a few random things about Blackwall as well. He likes fishing, following the sport of jousting close enough to have a favorite player, a woman by the name of Lady Honorine Chastine, and has a talent for wood carving as seen in the little rocking griffin he makes during the course of the game. He also likes dogs. Another thing that is commented on a lot is that Blackwall is a bit untidy. Even Cole mentions that he needs to comb his hair more. People will comment on how he needs to wash or tidy his appearance, but it seems that he is used to the jabs and doesn't take them to heart. While pretending to be a warden, there are a lot of things he gets wrong about the Order. This is obvious to anyone who's played Dragon Age Origins or is just familiar with the Grey Wardens at all. One of the more obvious giveaways is that he tells the Inquisitor that anyone can kill an archdemon and that the Wardens just have the most skilled blades. When Blackwall's identity is found out, there are a few different ways that his story ends, so let's go through the options. Neutral Blackwall. If the Inquisitor doesn't gain enough approval with Blackwall, he will rarely talk with them, only occasionally giving his opinions on events. From the remainder of the game, Blackwall will keep his false identity and he will stay with the Inquisition even after Curvius is defeated. But when Trespasser is started, it is revealed that 6 months after Curvius is killed, Blackwall leaves and turns himself in as Rainier. What has happened to him is unknown, although one can assume he was killed. Either way, he doesn't show up for Trespasser. Rival Blackwall. If the Inquisitor gets low enough approval with Blackwall, he is one of the few companions that will actually leave. He will tell the Inquisitor that he is disappointed with them, calling the Inquisition a gang of thugs, and then leave. And sort of related to a rival Blackwall is that you can actually kick him out during the events of Here Lies the Abyss if you have taken him with you during the mission. So, similar to how a neutral Blackwall works, 6 months after Curvius is defeated, you find out that he has turned himself into the Orlesian authorities. And he doesn't return for Trespasser. Friended Blackwall. If Blackwall has enough approval, he will take the Inquisitor out for drinks. During the conversation, he will tell them a bit about his past. After that, when the Inquisitor comes back to Skyhold, Blackwall will be gone, leaving a note behind. A scout from Liliana reports that they found a small section of another report about a man named Mornay in his quarters. The Inquisitor will then travel to Val Royeaux, where Blackwall stops the hanging of Mornay, announcing his true identity, and he'll be taken to jail. From here, the Inquisitor has a few options. The Inquisitor can leave him be, letting Orlais to handle them as they see fit, which means THOM will die. Josephine offers to use political connections to make Orlais hand over THOM to the Inquisition forces. Cullen will offer to use a small force to take THOM into Inquisition custody, likely killing innocent guards in the process and possibly angering Orlais. Liliana, on the other hand, suggests that they secretly place a recent traitor to the Inquisition in THOM's place, and thus freeing THOM and killing the traitor. And if the Inquisitor has underworld knowledge, there is one more option. With the connections that the Inquisitor has made, they will be able to secretly get THOM out, all the while masking the Inquisition's involvement in the breakout. After that, THOM is in the custody of the Inquisition. His judgment has a few different options as well. First option is that you can pardon him, and he will now openly be known as THOM Rainier. In Trespasser, a pardoned THOM will be traveling across Thedas looking for the rest of his men that he betrayed and asking for forgiveness. He will send a letter from Kirkwall saying that he found one of them. After Trespasser, he will travel around speaking of hope for condemned and forgotten prisoners, giving them the support they need for them to be better than they were. Second option is that you can give them to the Grey Wardens. For this, he will stay on with the Inquisition until Corypheus is defeated, and after that, he will be given to the Grey Wardens to take the joining. In Trespasser, you learn that he has survived the joining and is under command of Warden Stroudenmire, tasked with the investigation of the Vimmark prison, the place where Corypheus was held before, and where you can visit during the Dragon Age 2 DLC Legacy. After Trespasser, he saw the rest of Inquisition little, but some say they saw him in far-off lands. But wherever he was always helping the defenseless, and would often hand out carved toys for children. And finally, you can place him into servitude for the Inquisition. He will continue to be known as Blackwall, a Grey Warden. In Trespasser, you will receive a letter from Warden Melina Frey, a secretary in Weishaupt. She lets the Inquisition know that they believe the real Blackwall has died and that the man in the Inquisition is an imposter. They ask the Inquisition to send over this fake Blackwall to inquire further. Along with the note, Cullen will say that it would honestly just be best to hand him over. Romanced Blackwall. A romanced Blackwall is similar to a friended Blackwall. When the Inquisitor keeps flirting with Blackwall, he will begin to push her away. Finally, he mentions that he will reveal the truth of why he pushes her away, but not at Skyhold. He takes her to the Storm Coast, where we will later learn is the place where the real Gordon Blackwall died, as the Inquisitor finds his badge. Later, Blackwall mentions that he honestly meant to tell you the truth of who he was at this place, but after finding the badge, he just chickened out, and he wasn't able to. After that, Blackwall meets the Inquisitor in her room, where he admits that he has feelings for her, but he isn't what she needs. But he doesn't have the strength to end it either, and that she needs to do it. If the Inquisitor chooses to continue their romance, they share a kiss. Later on, the two share drinks, where he tells her how much she means to him, and the Inquisitor has the option to go somewhere private with Blackwall. And there, in the dusty stables, the two share an intimate moment, only for the Inquisitor to awaken alone and naked. By the way, people totally did see them do this. Sarah comments on it in a banter later. Anyway, Blackwall is gone. You go through the same steps as the friended Inquisitor, with slightly different outcomes. If you want to force Blackwall into servitude, he will end the relationship completely. Pardoned THOM will still travel around Thedas, but this time the Inquisitor comes along with him. And a Warden THOM will one day be summoned to Weishaupt by the Grey Wardens and will ignore the request for almost a year, preferring to stay with the Inquisitor. Eventually he does go, but after several years of silence, the Inquisitor receives only a Warden Constable's badge and a pure white griffin feather. It's unknown if Blackwall died, but what I believe is certain is that if he lives, he's searching for a way to return to the woman who made him feel like he could be more. What is clear about the relationship going into Trespasser is that THOM deeply cares for her, and that he actively tries to prove to her that he is a different man, even if she still awakens worried that he won't be there in the morning. And that, dear patrons, is all that we know of Blackwall. Well, THOM Rainier, I guess. It's more THOM Rainier than Blackwall. But anyway, you still have lingering questions? Proof that I'm wrong? Comments about your own fan theory. Feel free to tweet me at @Gildathon on Twitter or send a PM to user Gillanon on Reddit. Dress your all.